No, he's happy. He's happy. He's happy to see you. Are you turning on and off the switches over here? You're making the switches make little noises. Tick, 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 tick. You got buttons. And then what's this right here? What's this right here? What's that one? Do you turn that one, the red one? Do you turn that one? Right there? What do you do with that one? Oh. 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 Live from Brooklyn, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Ask Engineer. It's me, Lady Ada the Engineer, with me, Mr. Lady Ada, on camera control, and all these cute animations in the background. We got a little show for you tonight.
Oh, no, there's the real feathers. I have an entire team of people gently dropping feathers on our heads.
Okay, wonderful. Got an exciting show every night with new products, INPI, It's Not Out Yet, answering questions, a story about snacks, 3D printing, and more. Let's get right into it. What's the code and what's on tonight's show?
Well, there's breaking news. Apple and Next just merged. No, that's our mouse pad, by the way. It's no, the code is STEPMOD, 10% off in the Adafruit store, all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. Use it or lose it. You get 10% off in the store and a bunch of free stuff. You know it. You know. No.
What?
No. I hit Siri. No.
You hit the Siri?
No.
Okay. Jeez. You should have gone to the where's the emergency? You took that out. You used to have that little emergency, like, there you go. Please stand by. Yeah, fine. You stand by. The smart speaker is too smart.
I can't believe I always mute things and turn it off.
Well, did you have the beta?
Yeah, I'm like, I'll just try this out. This is great.
Yeah.
Anyways, as I say, we have free stuff. Then we have same day shipping in New York before 11 a.m. Just place your order. And then all that and more. We're going to do your questions. We do it in Discord. Adafruit.it. You never know what's going to happen here. Discord.gg/Adafruit and Adafruit.it/Discord is where we do the questions, and we also loaded up a bunch before the show. Let's kick this off, Lady Ada. First up, I'm just going to go right into it. There's the code. We did do Desk of Lady Ada. It did not go live, but we do have a copy of the video. I am going to upload it tonight or tomorrow.
Okay.
JP's product pick of the week. JP's back. I want to play this 1-minute video so I can get set up over here too and unplug Siri.
It is the Ethernet Featherwing Ethernet cable. Plug that in. We have the RJ45 connector there. We have network and activity LEDs built in. Feather RP2040. I'm on a quadrupler. I have a little OLED feather wing so that we can take a look at some info. And there, right there, is the Ethernet feather wing. The code running in CircuitPython does not detect a network, so I'll go ahead and plug in the cable. And when I do, you'll see a couple things happen. You'll see connection and activity lights. And you'll see it has gone to a URL that I specified in code. Right now I'm getting back this info color and then a hex value, which I'm then setting the LED that's built onto, the little NeoPixel that's built onto my feather to that color. I'll just put a little acrylic shield over it so you can see the color a little better. Here's the product pick of the week this week. It is the Ethernet Feather Wing.
And don't forget, JP's workshop is tomorrow, and you'll probably start to see a bunch of stuff because we're getting ready to ship AdaBox 22, which we are calling Classic, and then every AdaBox after that will be part of our new codename AdaBox Flow. I shall talk about that a bunch of times across a bunch of shows, but we'll see how much time we have for it this week. On Wednesdays, we hang out with Noah and Pedro, and then on Fridays we have a deep dive with Tim. Tim's working on some very fun things, including a historic look at boot up screens. You'll love it. Lady Ada, because we're doing a different type of show this week, let's just go right into the guides and more.
Okay.
We have learn updates. The Adafruit learning system. This is where people who we pay put up guides every single week. Our team meticulously looks at every guide, make sure it has all the things. What was in the big board this week?
Okay, we've got. Oh, can you hide us?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can
love
also,
us, but
do you want me to do like this?
Yeah, as long as because I have.
Is that good?
Yeah, I just have to
Okay.
rebuild it. Thank you.
Excellent.
Let's scratch it. Okay, so Liz, I think, did a guide for that Wiz 5500 Ethernet
Paste
coprocessor breakout board that we did last week. It's SPI to Ethernet. This is a really common chip for microcontroller boards because it has its own TCP/IP stack. So it's kind of lightweight. You can run it on something as small as an Arduino Uno, or something like a RP2350 or a SAMD51. You can even use it on an ESP32 board if you don't want to use the built-in Ethernet capabilities. We also have a guide for the INA 237, 238 DC current and voltage power monitors. These are kind of lower cost versions of the INA 228, so there's a little bit of library factoring. Otherwise, it works very similarly. They're really low cost and great for just high or low level power monitoring. We've got this really cool, colorful LED matrix alarm clock that plays MP3s to wake you up in the morning. We got a video coming up with that. And then Aaron did a fun video showing off the revised Adafruit, revised Lady Ada's toolkit. It's one of our first products. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, well, it wasn't our first product, but what were you going to say?
It just got revised because we couldn't get some of the parts anymore. So we just did a spin. I think it's actually even better now. And she reviewed every tool in it and worked with her on it.
Yeah. Well, we're doing a bunch of stuff with it. Someone said in the comments, because we put the video up, they're like, I bought this 15 years ago. The price is the same and there's more stuff or something like that.
Yeah.
How is that possible? Because so I'm ruined and everyone else is. It's like, is there a story about something costing less? No. Like, how did you even make it cost the same?
Well, we source slightly different parts, and some of the tools have gotten the price hasn't gone up.
Has it been more competitive?
It's more competitive, but we're also buying larger quantities because some of these components are in other stuff. And so one of the things about electronics is that the price of buying 1,000 is significantly less than when you're buying 10.
Oh.
So when I made this kit, I think I was making 25 kits a quarter, and now we're selling more than that. And all the components inside we buy a lot of. So I did the math and it worked out. I was still able to keep the price. I think $100 is just a really round.
What's interesting is we could figure out exactly how many of these we sold. And I shipped every single one of them because when we were doing this, I was the only shipper. So if you got one of these in the past, who has 8 fingers and 2 thumbs and shipped that package to you? This guy.
Probably, yeah.
All right.
Very popular early kit.
Yeah. And then we also do playgrounds where that means you, anybody out there can publish something. And this just came in a second before the show started. This is from Mr. Klingon. This is Sword of Shannara on Microbit. Super cool. And check out all of Mr. Klingon's guides. But if you want to see all the neat things that the community is publishing, or sometimes we send out beta hardware to folks, and they'll post a guide.
Yep.
Okay. So after that, we're going to go to some 3D printing videos. We're going to play those one after the other, and then we're going to go right into Ion MPI.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go.
You can build a 3D printed IoT alarm clock using CircuitPython and electronics from Adafruit. This IoT LED alarm clock is inspired by cute plush toy monsters. It uses an ESP32 Cutie Pie to get time from the internet and features sound effects, brightness dimming for nighttime, and cute animations like winking eyes. The clock is powered by an Adafruit Cutie Pie ESP32S3 with an I2S ANT BFF for high-quality audio output. In the CircuitPython code, you can set your time zone, alarm's time, volume, and the LED brightness setting for day and night. The clock keeps time using NTP with Wi-Fi, and the alarm sounds are audio files that are randomized each time they're triggered. You can get a full list of parts from the project's Learn Guide at learn.adafruit.com. The 3D printed case snap fits together and features a multicolored faceplate. The Audio BFF and Cutie Pie fit together using socket headers, and the two LED displays are chained together using Stemma QT cables. A small speaker is mounted to the top of the enclosure for good sound acoustics. To adorn the rotary encoder, a 3D printed fuzzy skinned bunny tail pops on, making a cute addition to the theme of the enclosure. We had a lot of fun designing and 3D printing this alarm clock, and hope it inspires you to check out CircuitPython for your next IoT project.
Alright, let's just go and remember a time when things cost 10% more because we didn't have this code. It
Well,
was
now
sad.
you can use the code.
Oh, it's code time, Stepbot.
Yay!
10% off any store, get free stuff, do the thing, do the dance. Let's do some Ion MPI. You ready?
Cool. On MPI, we show the new product introductions, the new things that you're waiting to see each week. When that Siri thing happened, Yeah.
I didn't tell everybody what the rest of the things were going to be on the show. I don't think I talked about some of these things, but
Yeah.
but
You were shocked.
yeah, I thought I turned it off. Okay. So this is brought to you by DigiKey. It's BeagleBoard. There are going to be no robots talking during this segment.
Okay.
I can't promise that though. So let's learn how to make and use some of these things.
Let's make robots.
What is BeagleBoard and how can it help me work with Siri?
Okay. Well, if you want to make robots or you want to make any kind of electronics and you want a powerful little board, there's a new board that just got released from BeagleBoard that's available at DigiKey. This is the Beagle Pocket 2. This is a tiny little board. You can kind of see the scale. I think it's like maybe 3 inches by 2 inches or so. It's a single board computer, but it's very, very small. It's got a lot of I/O available. It uses the TI Satara processor. And it's a really nice upgrade to the Pocket Beagle, which we covered when we talked about the Octavo processor. This time they actually put the chip and the RAM on and routed it themselves. You can see, I'll show you the label diagram in a minute. But this is a really nice board. One thing that's nice about it is it's designed to be able to run off of battery power. Like it has good power management built in. So if you want to make portable projects and you want lots of GPIO pins.
Single board computers are not known for their portable power managementness.
Yeah, but this one is.
Yeah.
So the Pocket Beagle 2, what's nice is it's less expensive. It comes with a better processor. It now comes with a 64-bit Cortex A53. So it can handle much more data, but much more quickly. It's a more recent revision of the ARM Cortex series. You've got a dual core, 1 gigahertz. There's also a Cortex M4. I think there's a dual Cortex M4 inside, running at like 100 megahertz or so. And there's separately routed 512 megabytes of DDR4 RAM on board. This is like the whole chip with all the details. You can pick this up at DigiKey. I'll show you the link. This is a very powerful chip. It can, handle displays. There is camera support, although I don't believe it's routed onto the GPIO pins, although I didn't, I spent like half an hour looking and I didn't look too seriously. The display stuff is routed out. It's like a nice little powerful chip. And it's got on-chip RAM as well, and then external DDR, it looks like. So, and this is how it works out. What's nice, like I said, there is these ideal diodes inside. These the LM73100, which is like the chip I just got some prototypes for. It's got eMMC built in, so you don't need an SD card if you don't want. You can load the flash memory onto the board, but there's also an SD card slot if you need more storage or you want like external storage. There is a power management IC. There's USB Type-C that connects directly to the gadget mode of the AM6232, but there's also USB host available. And like I said, there's battery charging capability built in. Battery leads into USB and battery, whichever one is higher, leads into the power management. So it's really designed to make it easy to embed this into small portable gadgets. So this is the top of the board. So you see the main processor. There's some LEDs. There's the power management IC, the USB, which can charge the battery. That's a LiPo battery. User button, power button. There's a separate MSP-MO. I looked into this a little bit. It looks like it's a coprocessor that's connected over I2C that can do like analog reads and stuff for you. JTAG if you want to program the chip directly, but also there's like a bootloader built in. And on the opposite side, there is the standard CAPE headers. So these are 2x18 headers. There's a UART port, so that's like if you want to log in directly without having to go through the USB. Like I said, that optional micro SD storage. And the CAPE headers is kind of what people are expecting. You're kind of expected to use it because on its own, while this hardware is really good, you probably want to connect external hardware to it to access the GPIO, to connect the TFT screen, to connect buttons and sensors and stuff. And so this would mount sort of similar to like how a compute module for Raspberry Pi works, but it uses much bigger, easier to use headers. So what's nice about this is that there's a USB port on board and you can like connect directly to it and it connects directly to the chip so you can bootload directly. There's also a little UART port that you can use your Pico probe to connect to. I thought that was really nice. So it's like the little JST-SH connector, you plug it in and you can console in if you want to get like, the low level UART control.
The board is clever.
These are the two headers. Like I said, there's two 36-pin headers, and this is like a standardized pinout. They're, of course, closer together than the original Beagle board because it's the Pocket version, but you still have a lot of stuff. There's analog inputs, there's lots of GPIO, there's the TFT, you can see the USB pins here, multiple power supplies, 3 volt, 5 volt, internal, the USB external, USB to, host device. On the other one, like even more GPIO, there's the GPIO that you can mux in from that microcontroller on board if you want to have a separate microcontroller. The battery temperature monitor, reset. So you kind of have everything you need to, like this would be like the brains of your design. You plug this in and then you have like full control over, the operating system. You'd have it interact with the hardware. So each of those 36 times 272 pins, there's multiple options available for all of them. So this is just like an example for like, P1, like the port 1, pin 8, 10, 8, 9, and 10, and 11. It shows you like, well, 2 of them are USB. Those are the top. But the bottom ones, you can like, there's UARTs, there's tons of SPIs, there's like 6 I2C, there's timers, there's PWMs, there's like a ton of steps. You can mix them around. You have a lot of flexibility if you want lots of PWMs, want lots of analog inputs, lots of SPI ports, lots of UARTs.
Yeah.
Another nice thing about it is, as mentioned, this is true of the Satara group, and we've seen people do to the Beagle board. It can drive directly these TFT displays. So if you want like a low cost built-in display, you can use SPI displays, but these TTL TFTs, you can do 800 by 480 or even larger. I think like we can do 1064 by 800 maybe is the max size built in, and you just like wire up the pins and it just kind of magically works as long as you load the kernel overlay. What's nice is because there's so many GPIO available on those ports, you still have plenty of pins left over for like I2C and connectors and USB and SPI, etc. Some good examples of accessories if you want to like pick something up from DigiKey. These are stock there, or you want to use these as inspiration for how to design your own board. So this is like a little gamer, and you see the Beagle Pocket plugs in at the bottom. There's lots of GPIO. There's a buzzer. There is, I think, like 320 by 240 SPI display that you can play games on, USB host, and a little battery connector. And then there's also this Tech Lab board, which is a little less expensive. It doesn't have a TFT, but it does have RGB LEDs, so you can practice PWMing, 7 segments, so you can do like high speed, refreshes, USB host, USB client, USB serial, buzzer, PWM, etc. I2, there's accelerometer on here, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of, again, a lot of ways to experiment with what you can do with this chip, because what I like about it is it has a lot more hardware peripherals than just your standard Raspberry Pi. This is meant to like, it can do much more like PWMs, analog inputs, multiplexed outputs and stuff. This can do that quite easily. And then another thing that I really like is, unlike a lot of single board computers, the accessories and the main board are all published under open source licenses. So if you go to the GitHub repo, like I downloaded the EagleCAD file, and like there's also KiCad available. You can use this as the base for your design, like take what you want, leave what you don't, which is really nice, saves you like a couple of board spins. And then the main repo for the Pocket Beagle has all the files on it already. So again, you can download the design files right now, and if you want, you can pick up the AM6232 chip from DigiKey if you so want for like $11 or so, and you could wow your own design and make your own dev board if you want. So I like the openness and like flexibility of the Beagle board family. It's different than other single board computers, but I like that they're going in a different direction. There's also a webinar next week, so good timing if you want to check it out, hosted by DigiKey and BeagleBoard.org. Probably Kurtner will be there. They're great at answering questions and helping people get started with their designs, so go sign up. It's free. And it's in stock, and it's $30. I think it's a really good deal. So you get,
of course, it's a really good deal.
Well, yeah,
it's a computer.
It's a computer, but you get like the 4 megabytes of onboard flash, and you get like the dual, Cortex A53, and you get the SRAM. And it's like I know there's a lot of competition, but it's like you get a lot. What I like is those pin headers are very easy for beginners. You can like plug in wires. And so you get the compactness of like a compute module, but you get the flexibility of like plugging in the wire, so you can like connect anything you want.
Can I talk about this MPI a little bit?
Yeah,
because I really like it.
Yeah,
I want to say, at Adafruit we do sort of bug reports. We do hug reports in writing, where someone does something neat. I want to say shout out to Jason and crew at BeagleBoard, because from the beginning, they decided to commit to open source. They've published their files.
Yeah, they publish everything.
You can download them all. They did everything right. I think the Raspberry Pi, had it not come out, the BeagleBone would have been like the choice, because it's very close to what we saw Bunny doing with Chumby, and it was going this way. You have a lot more choices and flexibility as far as like your final designs, with the BeagleBoard directly. Raspberry Pi solved that. But Raspberry Pi, Trading Co. with the modules and like the entire B2B industry. But this is, essentially a TI eval board.
It isn't. It isn't. Like, it's not. They're not a TI group.
No, but that's good.
Yeah, but I like that it does stuff that other single board computers don't, and it has like this good community support.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is because we're in the middle of this tariff thing, and I think, and I'm going to email Jason maybe like a URL link to this. I didn't, and I really think that it's a great time to get a BeagleBoard and jump into this community, because what if like we have to be really creative about how we do computing again, and BeagleBoards used all flavors of Linux, and usually that's a hard thing to get spun up on. But with LLMs, you can get a lot of real-time in the terminal help about how to do the basic things. You have one-on-one help. So I think there's going to be a resurgence in single board computers, only because the resources that the Raspberry Pi put out for Raspberry Pi are available for all single board computers now, essentially.
Look, Python runs on this board just fine.
So I'm excited. Okay, that is NPI. Jason, good work, everybody. Thank you for keeping a nonprofit open hardware thing going. Thank you. Bye.
On NPI.
StepMot is the code, and it's time for new product idea. Okay, what up?
Okay, we got this really quick revision. This is a request from an educator. It's the Pico Cowbell Adalogger board, but with stacky headers soldered on. So it's in there. If you want to pick this up, again, this was a special request for an educator, but we'll have these in stock. We have to hand solder these, so they're more expensive than just if you got the headers and soldered them on. But for some people, maybe they just want a plug and play solution.
Yeah, and for the folks who notice our photography, we got all the new women quarters. This has been happening for a while. I think it's been planned for like a decade. They were going to put women on quarters. This is founder of the Girl Scouts. This is Julia Gordon-Lowe. We have a thing you sign up for, and they send you the quarter when it comes out. But look at this. She has like this cool. Look at this. This is a quarter. Isn't it cool?
She's got the logo all over.
There's a lot of hidden stories about things that you take for granted, and maybe it was founded by a woman. And I'm not going to stop the new product show to talk about goldfish crackers. I'm just going to say later on I will. What's next, Lydia?
Okay, next up is the star of the show, which is the ST Spin 220 breakout. We've added a couple stepper motor drivers to the shop, and this is a nice little compact one. Like I said, featuring the very tiny ST Spin 220. So this kind of joins the Allegro A4988 and the Trinamic/Maxim/Analog Devices Zaibatsu TMC.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, was it the TMC 2209? So the A4988 is low cost, and you need at least 8 volts for your motor. It's kind of the classic. The TMC 2209, has UR programmability, and it has like super silent stepping. And the ST Spin 220 is kind of in the middle there. It's inexpensive, it's small, and what's really nice is it's good for low voltage motors. So if you look on the back, it can handle motors from 2 volts to 10 volts. So a lot of stepper drivers tend to start at 5 and go up to like 20, 25, 28, 30 volts. This one is one of the few that can go below 5 volts. So if you're running a small stepper motor off of 3 volts and you want micro stepping support, this is a great little chip. It doesn't have like UART or SPI, but it does support up to 256 microsteps per toggle of the direction and step interface. So if you go to the overhead, I'll do this demo.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so I just have a little demo running here. And what's nice is it's very quiet. Like you can't hear it. Believe me, there's a lot of stepper drivers that are very noisy, but it's doing micro stepping through here. And it's like just rotating once per. I do have a bunch of the pins connected. Now, it will work if I just have the step and direction pins, but it won't it's not going to micro step the right rate anymore because it's confused. But you can, let me reset it. Yeah, it can do, by default, it's set up to, I think, 1/8 microstepping. And if you don't want to do any configuration with the pins, then that's the default. But if you want to have more microsteps, there is this MS1 and MS2 and reset pins. And when you bring it at a reset, the chip senses what the MS1, MS2 step and direction pins are set to, and it uses those values to determine the microsteps. So there's a table in the data sheet. We also have a library that makes it a little easier because it's extremely confusing to read the table. But by by setting different step and direction pins and the MS1, MS2 pin through reset or from power on, you can use it, if you want to use pull-ups, but if you want to have it dynamically changeable, you have to use the reset pin. And then you can change the microsteps. This is unlike the trinamic motors where oftentimes you have to send an SPI or UART command to get that 1 to 56 steps. So, there's pros and cons to that. If you want a simple, no complex library, very, something that's easily portable, easily programmable in any programming language, go for it. This stepper motor driver also has a limit of about 1 amp, 1.3 amps per motor coil. We put a trimmer pot on there. You twist it. You can set the current limit higher or lower. Set it lower so if it stalls, you don't take down your system. Set it higher if you just want more torque. And yeah, it's what I like about the stepper, because we actually highlighted this a long time ago. We did a couple of projects with SD, is inexpensive and low voltage. So if you're doing 3 or 3.7 volts, you're running something off a LiPo, you want to boost a LiPo to run a motor kind of a waste because the current can be quite high or it can be in idle mode. So now you can run it directly off of a battery, a couple AA's, LiPo battery, etc. Very easily. So we got this breakout in the shop with terminal blocks ready to go.
It's new product. The code. Step bot. 10% off. Alert.
Free stuff.
And then don't forget, and you're in New York, same day. It's been working out great. Everyone's happy. We've had more same-day orders than ever in the history of Adafruit because it's so convenient and easy, and people are talking about it.
Yeah.
Lady Ada. We're going to do top secret, and then we're going to do questions, and we're going to open up and more, and then we're going to get out of here because this is one of those nights where we got to end a little early. So here we go. You ready? All right, the first part of Top Secret will be the Fruit Jam kind of reveal as we're doing things. And then we have another Top Secret video. And then I'm going to talk about an idea. And then I'm going to talk about Lady Ada talking about something. And then I'm going to talk about goldfish crackers. And then there's going to be questions.
That's questions.
So we'll see you on the other side of the first 2 videos, which is about 5 minutes altogether. Yeah, what is this?
Okay, this is my RP2350 Fruit Jam, and this is a Rev B. You can kind of barely see it under this Kapton tape. And some people were like, hey, are you going to work on the Fruit Jam again? What happened with that? And basically what happened is I was doing really good. And then, all of April just turned into Tariff Town. And then May turned into catching up on all the stuff I missed out on during Tariff Town. But now I'm back to doing hardware. You guys have seen there's much more hardware coming into the Adafruit shop. We're working on old stuff. So getting back to this, and the one thing I wanted to get working this week is the ESP32C6, which you see here. Same thing as this dev kit. And also, we have a feather with a C6 on it. And what's nice about the C6 is it does Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and it's very low cost and it's very small compared to the ESP32 Classic. It doesn't do Bluetooth Classic, but it does do BLE. One thing, by the way, if you're what's up with this red wire? So, to do your download, you have to pull, I think it's IO8 up. And I didn't realize that. So I had to uncap the module and then solder to this little pin here. You only have to do it when you're first uploading. But anyways, once that got done, I also had to I didn't connect this wire by accident. A couple of things went on. Then this IRQ pin. But, that's what revisions are all about. But the good news is that I got we have a latest version of on my computer. Yeah, don't worry about the hardware.
No, I don't.
Who cares about that? We got a
Build
PR
it better.
for ESP32 Wi-Fi, the Nina firmware. And we updated to the latest IDF, which adds support for the ESP-C6 and also like fixes a couple other things. And I think we fixed also the certificate bundle, so it's like more modern. And I was like, okay, I'm finally got to testing this. And the good news is that it works. So I'm running the Wi-Fi web client. This is an Arduino. Of course, it'll work the same in CircuitPython, but it can connect to Wi-Fi. I don't know why it's a little slow. I think it's in debug mode. But it will connect to the Wi-Fi, and then it'll connect to the Adafruit web server. Well, it's supposed to.
Maybe. When I bumped it, I messed it up.
I don't know. It's not your fault. Let's try again.
I bumped it.
Who knows, man? Hardware. There you go. And this time it's connecting.
Yeah.
Connects to the Adafruit Wi-Fi, and then it does this little test. It's like if you can read this, it's working. Yeah, it's very delicate. There's all these wires. So the first thing I'm going to do, obviously, is I'm going to book a new version, Rev C, which doesn't have all these like blue wire hacks all over the place, unless like I have to probe stuff to make sure it works. And then I'm going to finish testing the audio. That's like the last thing to test. And then I'm actually done. All the other hardware has been verified and working. A couple other fixes that I had to do, but otherwise we're getting close to Rev C and then hopefully a final launch.
Lady, what is this?
Hey, this is a rainbow spiral. This is my test for the new board that I'm wrapping up and getting to the shop, the triple output active shifting RG matrix bonnet. So this gives you Raspberry Pi 0 up to 5 with level shifting output to 3 RGB matrix panel. These are called Hub 75 panels. They come in 16 by 32 up to 64 by 128. Here I'm demoing all 3 outputs. So you can see the cables kind of underneath jammed. And they're running in parallel. And what's interesting about this is actually it's running on a Raspberry Pi 5 using the RP1 chip underneath here as an RP1 PIO driver. So this is actually not using any CPU time, and you can see the frames per second up here. So, we might be able to improve the throughput. What's nice though is it's like, this beautiful, I think this is 24-bit color, PWM RG matrix, and you're not using a core, and so you can actually do stuff with the Raspberry Pi 5 and then still have it drive lots of matrices. So I've got like 9 total of these, so I might make like, a cool big panel.
Yeah.
And then
maybe I should send this to a friend who's doing some writing for Raspberry Pi magazine.
that would be,
You think they'd like this?
They went like that, yeah.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll send a link to this part of the video.
Yeah,
And I'll be like, hey, do you want this?
this is
How
cool.
many of these do you have?
I have 5.
So we could
prototypes.
send one to them.
I could send, well, I'm also
Okay.
getting the final boards in like a week or 2.
Okay, so this is how things work, folks. There's an author who makes great articles about new things coming up, and we know that we're going to have this soon, and I can send it to them before we're done with it, and
Yeah.
then by the time the magazine comes out, it'll be ready to go.
And then check out Jepler's PIO Matter library. I'll link it in the description, which adds this PIO driver support for RG matrices on the Pi 5. So that's, because you can't use GPIO bit banging anymore. That's how you would do it on the Pi 5. And it also works on the Pi 4 and 3 and 0. It's just, you're not going to get as great performance as, of course, the most recent chips.
This is cool. It could be a big seller.
And rainbowy.
Yeah, cool.
That style of filmography, as they say in the biz, is hanging out with a toddler a lot. That's called the near far shot, because I just do near far with her.
Yeah.
We're just doing stuff, and that's why I was like doing that, because I was doing that one.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
you didn't hear the audio because we were just watching it, but that's why it looked like that.
Yeah.
Anywho, we have a couple other things to show you. The next thing is we're going to have the fruit gems in some people's hands, and we're starting to think of cool things to do. We don't really do contests because like people will just enter to win something, and it's like garbage and sponsorship, and they want your information. But I do think it's neat, like skateboarding style, like, hey, I did a cool trick, you do a cool trick. So this is a cool trick I saw that someone made and modded, and they put like the Mac Mini in, but we're going to put a fruit gem in. So here, check this out.
weird. Yeah.
What's this?
Okay, this is a new breakout sensor. Somebody sent it to me and said this is cool because it's like a PIR sensor and does human motion recognition, but it's much more compact than a PIR sensor. So I made a breakout for it. And then this is another stepper driver. This is the TMC 2240. So actually, this was the 2210, which I think I said, maybe not though. But this one has SPI. It has like a lot of extras. It has like encoder support, I think, and like analog input. And it does, I think, like 2.5 amps per stepper. So, just like checking out some more stepper drivers available. This is another one from Trinamic.
Yeah. Oh, actually, you know what? I have a bonus track for folks. I have a couple other top secrets. This is some of the videos that Tim is doing for the guide about the history of like boot up screens. There's a video, but you're gonna have to wait until the guide comes up. I can give you a little preview of two things, and then we'll go back to the last and final thing before questions. Okay, Lydia, when you think of childhood, is goldfish crackers part of it?
Yum.
What about Pepperidge Farm,
I
like
remember.
cookies and
Delicious.
stuff?
Yeah.
What's your favorite Pepperidge Farm cookie?
Chocolate chip.
Chocolate chip. Are you a straight up just like regular fish cracker person, or do you like some of the new flavors and colors they have?
I'm
and all that?
a classic.
Yeah, I like
chocolate
them.
chip, vanilla. I like what's good.
Okay.
What's known.
So we write about a lot of prolific people on our blog and more. And somehow, some way, I think I was emailing with Sophie, who used to be at Hackaday, and somehow something came up because I have toddler stuff I'm always doing now, Luna. And we have all sorts of cheddar cracker, fish crackers, everything. And when you have a little kid, you start to get the question, who made that? Or at least that's what we have here.
Yeah.
Who made that?
Where'd it come from?
Where'd it come from? What's their name? Why? I want that. Did you build that? Did mommy build that? So
Give me the whole thing.
yeah, whole thing. So I just suggested everyone look up this cool story because when you're a parent and you have to find role models, I don't know what I would do if I had like a young boy because maybe historically because there wasn't as much evidence in social media, like you could say like, oh, here's a neat astronaut guy or something, scientist guy. But there's a lot of like amazing women that you never hear about it. So Pepperidge Farm was founded by a woman. Her name was Margaret. She was the wife of a wealthy stock market person. And then the stock market crashed and he got injured in a polo accident. She had to like get a job and she's just like, well, I'm going to learn how to bake. So she wanted to find these wheats and stuff for her son who had like probably celiac now, but he had a gluten allergy. So she was like making these breads and it was like turning out really good. And so that was like part of what she was doing. She's known for saying, she's known as like, you don't see this on the like Pepperidge Farm site or the Campbell soup. So by the way, Campbell's acquired them. They're more than soup, but what are you gonna do? And she said, there's no job that a man could do that a woman can't do. And that's kind of a nice statement. It's like, well, maybe it's not they're not going to be the best at it, but you can do it. And it's like vice versa. I just like that she was thinking about that in like 1930. So she sold Pepperidge Farm for $28 million. And that was in $1961. So it would have been $237 million. She was the first woman to serve on the Campbell Soup board of directors. She was one of the most powerful businesswomen, 1950, 1960. She still has, the company had a 53 average annual growth rate for 26 years. So
That's fast. That's big.
then so where did that Milano cookie come from? So as she was doing this company, she would go to different countries and like find flavors of around the world. So this was the Milano cookie, and this is my bonus track for this story. She went to Belgium, and it was a cookie made by the Delacroix company, supplies the Belgian royal house, and convinced them to license their secret recipes to Pepperidge Farm.
So they imported a 150-foot cookie oven from Belgium, bringing the other Belgian engineers to oversee the production of the cookies, like Milano, Brussels. So this is an engineering story.
Yeah.
And you know what it is? It's a licensing story.
Yeah.
There's
intellectual property.
There's a recipe.
Mm-hmm.
They licensed the recipe. And then here, where did Goldfish come from? Well, she was in Switzerland in 1962, and it was called Goldfischlini. And it was invented by Oscar Campbell in 1958 as a birthday gift for his wife, who is a Pisces. Margaret licensed the trademark rights, shape, and recipe from Campbell and introduced it in America. That sounds like an electronic product,
Mm-hmm.
And then the crackers, they pride themselves on being natural stuff. But it's not all good news. Like, they did close down the Norwalk facility years after Campbell's got it. And it's cool. There's not a lot of stories like this, or there is, and we're not hearing them. So we're going to try to help solve that. But don't worry, I'm not just going to put, look, lady had a business. It has to have like engineering and samples, and how do you route it to something like open source hardware and licensing?
Yeah.
That license for that fish exists somewhere.
Yeah.
In the bowels of Campbell's.
It's like written on, yeah.
The bowels of Campbell's. And I woke up this morning and I said, if I can say bowels of Campbell's on live internet, I had a good day. So with that being said, that's our top secret.
Okay.
A bunch of people they say I eat those with my coffee. That's so nice that you eat the cheddar the cheddar goldfish crackers with your coffee. Anyways,
Milano's, but yeah.
I know they do.
It's
being
I like Milano's.
Milano's favorite pet farm company. Everybody likes it. Where'd they come from? Now you know.
They're good.
Okay, Lydia, people around the world post their questions and they tag Adafruit or more and they get it to us and collects them and we put them here. Let's do some questions. First up, I would love to get that W550 module PoE.
So the thing is that adding PoE would make it like really, really big. And we have these separate PoE splitter modules. I would suggest getting one of those because it might take a while and it might be really big if I make a PoE, WizNet module.
Thank you for your great work. Any chance of doing a PPS-enabled version of the PD breakup board? Maybe with the AP33772?
Honestly, I don't know what PPS stands for. Usually it means like pulse per second for like GPS.
What? PD breakout?
Yeah. But
Power delivery breakout?
It's power delivery, so I don't know. I'm going to have to look up what this means. I don't know.
Hey, chat. Any chance of doing a PPS-enabled version of... What's a PPS?
Well, what is the AP33772? I don't know. I didn't look it up.
And are you down with OPP? You know me. Let's go. Just one question. This board supports transmit or receive. Can FD?
Yeah. CAN board. All of our CAN boards, I believe, do FD.
I guess one day we'll have to make a little thing that takes every JP thumbnail and just like morphs it like Michael Jackson black or white video style. Okay. Whoa. Next up, nice fit. Love people getting electronics. Does anyone have a suggestion for a multimeter with loud or not high frequency sound for continuity testing? It always has sucked. So with fans going, I almost can never hear the beeps.
Yeah, this is a challenge because they almost always use a piezo, but maybe some people there's probably folks who are hearing impaired. One thing you could do is if you're willing to open up your low cost multimeter and wire into the battery, you could take the signal from the piezo and detect it and then route that into a buzzer instead, like a vibrating motor. And so you'd have to power the motor from the 9-volt too. So, just be careful. You're going to use a lot more power. But then it would vibrate, not just beep, and you would be able to sense it. Yeah.
Just going back 2 questions ago. Thanks, Todd. Todd got it. It's per parties per season. It's parties per season. And no, it's not. It's programmable power supply. You choose your voltage in 0.1 volt increments.
Oh, I think, there's buck converters that would do that. So I think you would be a separate chip that you would use like I2C maybe to set the voltage output.
Okay. And the answer is 4 parties per season.
Yes.
Next up. So I had one thing I wanted to say about this. What an amazing opportunity for someone to make a multimeter for people that have different needs. Big, vision, louder, lots of things. You can do it. Next up, let's go to question. When is CircuitPython 10 coming out for the Adafruit ESP32S3 TFT Feather?
Well, you can compile it yourself. We don't have it. CircuitPython 10 is very alpha still, and we haven't done the partition changes. So your best bet is, I think we did just a plain S3 Feather. You would just look at the one line that changes the partition, and you would update the partition to use that, and then maybe you would you'd have to use the same the new bootloader. But basically, we're only letting one board use it for now because we want to make sure that documentation is all updated before we do the rest of the boards.
Okay. There's a question in the chat. Any reaction to the latest tariff news? Here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to put the next question on the screen. You're going to read it and answer it. I'm going to go to my computer and unfortunately hit refresh on a news page.
I don't know what the
I don't know what's new either. Oh, I don't want to see what this is.
I mean, there's discussion of
I
there's.
don't want to see what it is. Okay, I'm going to go over there. I'll be right back.
I thought we were bombing Iran. Okay. So somebody's saying the WizNet 5500 SPI, so you could use SemiQT or Quick connector. Quick or SemiQT is I2C only. It doesn't do SPI. So I have iSpy, which is like a ribbon connector for SPI. But that's the problem. It's like SPI is more complicated because you need the 3 data pins, a chip select pin, and there's often other pins like IRQ or reset or whatever. So for now, you can't do it over I2C. So you would just wire directly to your microcontroller board. Okay.
Okay. So the story I see is U.S. tariffs on China won't change again. Lutnick says after trade talks.
I mean,
that was 10 hours ago, though.
That's not. I don't really. Yeah.
We are
as always
we were
until
at mutual assured annoyance.
Until I get guidance from Customs and Border protection. Nothing's really true.
I can't wait till the invoices go away and I can stop thinking about.
No, they're still look, they're still charging, and they're still high. There's like 35 to 50% tariffs on stuff from China. There's
that's a good question.
There's 10% tariffs on every other country, and that's actually affecting stuff. People are like,
like
hey, why did this product go up in price? I'm like, it's not made in the US.
There's other breaking news. Trump says a U.S.-China trade deal is done.
Okay, come on, guys. You know that this doesn't.
Well, here's what I'll say, and this has until further notice. Cool. Here's what I'll say about stuff, and I think this is good advice for all of us. Mm-hmm. I think this round, for longtime viewers of chaos and tragedy and joy, or who knows, I think that we've managed to stay out of this political thing completely, but also being very informed and giving the information as pure as it is. Like, it's a physics thing we're doing here. So we're going to continue to deliver that information, but I think we did a good job showing you what it's doing. And this is absolutely hurting us every day. It's not this the tariffs are done until like executive orders come out and until like we have the bulletins that pop off the press. Until we don't get charged, this is going to go on and on and on and on and on. So apparently, Trump said Wednesday that the base American tariffs on Chinese goods will increase to 55%, and Chinese tariffs on American goods will be set at 10%.
But that's not what they are right now. So,
but that's not what they are now. And 55% on what? Is there exemptions? Is it computers? Is it not?
Yeah. Does that include smartphones or not? Does it include the TFTs or is it the chip exemptions or semiconductor?
So if
what about Taiwanese?
By the way,
Taiwan exempted.
Let me just say this: if it's 55% on all goods, it's the end of everything. It's not going to be that. There's obviously, it's not 55% on everything that comes from China. It can't be.
Yeah. Who knows? Okay.
It's the end. We can't.
All right. So I did the questions.
Yeah. So we did the questions. And anyways, that was like the little breaking news.
Thanks.
So,
I mean, you can't people can't say like, oh, art of the deal. And it's like, he always goes hard and then negotiates and then say like, but don't worry, it's done. It's like, you can't have it both ways, guys.
Well, I'm just saying that we're going to just report on the actual amount that we're paying and more, and all of the bills and invoices, the type of things that here's like one of the invoices. Obviously, by the way, for the people who are like, you should put up everything because otherwise I don't, you know what? I'm never going to do enough for you. So move on. Yeah. But for the folks, like, obviously we're going to show you what we're doing. It's cool that we can do that because there's just the two of us who are deciding that. Where's my magic 8-ball of tariff predictions? I don't know. And then final number, very optimistic. Yeah, okay. No. That is it. Last question. When is your new I2C semi-quit radio module coming out?
It's not out yet. Don't ask.
Ooh. Hi, everybody. Don't forget the code is STEPMOT. We will see everybody next week. Thank you so much. This has been an Adafruit production. I'm going to give you a moment of Zener and then a special thank you. Here is your moment of Zener. Thank you to Excel and Rocky Raccoon.